Hello, every noodle. We're going to be doing some editing today. Yes, here we are, chapter 11. From the very start, we haven't done anything at all yet, so you're going to see all of it, including how shoddy my software is, I rather suspect. Here we go. Good old SoundForge crashes all the time. Yeah. Oh well. At least it loads quickly, so the process of shutting it down and restarting it is not very painful. Okay, here we go. I'll show you all my shoddy software if you like. We can do everything. Alright, so, yet again, do not click this message again. They're like, oh, are you sure? Because last time we thought maybe you want us to play it to you again anyway. Thanks, but no. Alright, so now this might come as a bit of a surprise to you, but the first thing I do is go into the EQ and drop the bass, but not like in music, like in actually dropping the bass, because too much bass just sounds waffly. So we'll play you a little bit. Was the little world in which I had been living securely for years, this fiery chaos. What had happened in the last 7 hours I still did not know, nor did I know, though I was beginning to guess. I mean, that probably sounds okay to you, but it sounds much better once we've done this. There we go. Now, I should point out there is actually one thing that I've did previously, and that is the noise reduction. I have out here a good long recording. Where is it? It's not on that folder. It's in that one. There you go. Room tone. That's a good long recording of my recording area, you know, so that I can take a sample from that and then apply it to the recording of what I'm trying to use and remove all that sound. Right? It's fairly standard. Just means any of the background noise should hopefully be gone, and for the most part it is, which is good. So we'll start back at the beginning. There we are. Now that we've reduced the bass and the noise, testing the mic.
Chapter 11. At the window.
That sounds creepy.
At the window.
That's even creepier.
Chapter 11.
That's okay though. Alright, so we'll start with that chapter 11 there, because I like it. It's okay. I'll do a second beforehand. I never used to do this. I used to just start, you know, and cut it right at that line, basically. But now I'm far more paranoid because, man, I've been trying for a long time to get my 1984 audiobook clean, and it's just not happening.
Chapter 11.
Okay, 1, 2, 3 seconds. We're not worried about wiping over that. Actually, it shouldn't be 3 seconds though. So we'll undo all of that because it's going to be a little under 1 second. So we'll go 2 to 3. Yes. There you go. You thought putting sound effects on was boring. This is the king of boring.
At the window.
No, very creepy. That sounds like I'm watching you get changed.
At the window.
Uh-huh, not good.
At the window.
That sounds like I liked watching you get changed.
At the window.
So how about this one?
Window.
Alright, that one I'll have to do. That's... it's some phrases are actually just incredibly difficult to say. And that's one of them, at the window. It's, yeah. I do prefer it in the old books, though, when they give you a channel title. Alright, let's test this timing.
Chapter 11. At the window.
Way too long. Way too long. Let's try half a second.
Chapter 11. At the window.
A little bit more than that.
Chapter 11. At the window.
Yep, that'll do. Okay. And then I give it 3 seconds break so we can fade out the wonderful theme music from Jet. 1, 2, 3, and of course fade in the the background, the bed, the audio bed, the basic background audio sound for the sound effects version. And for the folks listening to the no SFX version, I guess they can use that 3 seconds to feel smug. I don't need sound effects. I just like this audiobook. No, I don't know how they feel. I do actually understand. You know, some people just find the sound effects really distracting. I get it. I do get it.
Chapter 11. At the window.
1, 2, 3. Go.
I have already said
there
that
we go.
my storms of emotion have a trick of exhausting themselves. After a time...
Now, do you hear that wonderful gap there? That is exactly why I spend so much time trying to get my recordings clean. If I was in a messier room, or if I hadn't done noise reduction or something, I would have to silence every single gap between words that has ever existed, as I have done so many times in previous recordings. But now...
have a trick of exhausting themselves. After...
that's pretty quiet, right? So that. You hear any noise? None, right? Pretty good. Pretty happy Steve. It makes my editing a lot easier. I only have to worry about timing for the most part, or, you know, passing cars, barking dogs. Bogans shooting guns at each other during drug deals gone wrong, whatever. I don't live in that bad a neighborhood. I'm just being a bit of a jerk. Excellent. All right. I think I'm funny. It's one of my greatest failings. Here we go. Just ask my wife. All right.
Exhausting themselves. After a time, I discovered that I was cold and wet and with little pools of water about me on the stair carpet. I got up almost mechanically.
Right. Now, here we come across one of these problems that I've had with this author in particular, because I don't know if it's just a difference in the time or in his writing style, but I haven't come across it in a lot of Wells' other writings. But in this one in particular, maybe I'm just noticing it because it's my first Wells audiobook, but he uses very strange grammar. He uses full stops all the time. He starts with "and." He does crazy things with the words. And it's quite hard to work out whether he intends for a follow-on sentence or whether it's 2 sentences. So we'll have a listen to this again and we'll see how we feel.
And with little pools of water about me on the stair carpet. I got up almost mechanically, went into the dining room.
I think that's a follow-on. I do. I think it's a follow-on. So we'll go down to half a second. Lovely little fade out. Never go hard.
Me on the stair carpet. I got up almost mechanically,
There we go.
went into the dining room and drank some whiskey. And then I was moved to change my clothes.
There we are. Now that should probably, likely, almost certainly be a full stop, end of sentence. But who knows? We'll have to see what the next bit is.
After I had done that, I went upstairs to my study.
Okay, so that sounds right. We'll just run it back.
To change my clothes. After I had done that, I went upstairs to my study. But why I did so, I do not know. The window of my study looks over the trees and the railway towards Horsell Common. In the hurry of our
Comment. It's a danger when you're recording to have a little extra sound on the end of a word. Sometimes I leave it. It depends on the word and the context and how much it annoys me. Sometimes I get rid of it just like that. And sometimes it's easy to get rid of and sometimes it's not. Sometimes I have had to leave it in because I have no option and it will then bug me forever.
It's Horsell Common. In the hurry of our departure, this window had been left open. Look away towards Horsell Common. In the hurry of our departure, this window had been left open.
See, that
The
is...
passage was dark.
Yeah, that's definitely written as a full stop, but I think it could be read as a comma. Let's try it.
And the railway towards Horsell Common. In the hurry of our departure, this window had been left open.
No, I think it's just a short sentence. You'd call that a fragment in modern grammar.
Way towards Horsell Common. In the hurry of our departure.
Maybe we can trim it a little bit. What if we meet it halfway?
towards Horsell Common. In the hurry of our departure, this window had been left open. The passage was dark.
Yeah, then we go on to a full sentence. Okay, let's try that.
Open. My study looks over the trees and the railway towards Horsell Common. In the hurry of our departure, this window had been left open. The passage was dark, and by contrast with the picture, the window frame enclosed. My
own breaths. Difficult. Breathing is tricky. Normally, of course, you would be standing up to record this sort of thing, so you've got the full use of your diaphragm and your lungs, and it's no problem. But my recording area is so small, I have to be seated, and it really messes with my breathing a lot.
The passage was dark, and by contrast with the picture, the window frame enclosed, the side of the room seemed impenetrably dark. I stopped short in the doorway.
Okay, is that going to be a comma or a full stop? Let's try it as a full stop, and then we'll trim it back if we have to.
Impenetrably dark.
Honestly, the most common thing I have to edit out nowadays, now that I've got some experience minimizing recording noise and all of that sort of stuff, I do some warm-up reading beforehand so that my tongue is nice and limber and I'm going to speak the words well. The most common error is my breathing. I run out of breath before I think I should because I'm not used to sitting down while I record.
Seemed impenetrably dark. I stopped short in the doorway. The thunderstorm had passed. The towers of the Orient seemed impenetrably dark. I stopped short.
That is too long, but I don't think it's a comma.
Seemed impenetrably dark. I stopped short in the doorway.
Likewise, I think we're going to find this one is not actually
Short in the doorway.
a full second, so we might trim it a bit before that.
I stopped short in the doorway. The thunderstorm had passed. The towers of the Oriental College
Yep, that's okay. That is okay.
had passed.
My general rule is half a second for a comma, 1 second for a full stop, but you don't want to, pin yourself down to that sort of rule too solidly. Let the art flow. Let the words tell you what the timing should be.
The thunderstorm had passed. The towers of the Oriental College and the pine trees about it. Oriental College.
Ugh.
Oriental College.
We got a horrible little click in there, haven't we?
Oriental College. College.
I think I can see it. Is that it there?
College.
Yes, there you are. You little bugger. Tick, 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 tick. Is that it? There we are. All right, let's just try deleting it, see if that works.
The Oriental College and the
Yes,
about it
beautiful.
had gone, and very far away, lit by a vivid red glare, the common.
Okay.
Vivid red glare. The common.
Yep, that's all right, but we will blank that out. Just to keep it nice and smooth, if nothing else.
Glare. The common about the sand pit. The common about the. A vivid red glare. The common about the sand pits was visible. Across the light, huge.
Okay, un secundo again, and then we're probably going to trim it back once more.
Was visible.
Because this is a long descriptive
Across the light
section,
was visible.
we're probably not going to have
Across the
many full 1 second
Black
breaks.
shapes, grotesque and strange, moved busily to and fro. It seemed, indeed,
Okay,
to and fro.
1 second, but we're going to trim off that last fifth of it. 1/5 of a second will make all the difference, I think.
To and fro. It seemed, indeed, as if the whole country
Actually, that one could be a second. Let's try that.
busily to and fro. It seemed, indeed,
Yeah.
as
Because it's moving from one thought to another. Like the description is over, and now he's moving to his reaction to it, right? Description back here, reaction here. So we'll go the full 1 second break.
Strange moved busily to and fro. It seemed, indeed, as if the whole country in that direction was on fire. A broad hillside
Right.
on fire. A broad hillside set with minute tongues of flame, swaying and writhing with the gusts of the dying storm, and throwing a red
Yeah, okay, so that was just a breathing break. So we'll go half second for a comma.
storm,
It might be less than that even.
with the gusts of the dying storm, and throwing a red
Yep, okay.
gusts of the dying storm, and throwing a
Actually, that, I don't think it's...
dying storm.
No, it was just... Okay. Sometimes the sensitivity of the microphone makes it so that it seems that the words end very abruptly.
The dying storm, and
Right? I would have preferred a longer M on the end there,
the dying storm, and throwing a red
but, can't have everything.
swaying and writhing with the gusts of the dying storm, and throwing a red reflection,
I think that can be even shorter.
writhing with the gusts of the dying storm, and throwing a red reflection upon the cloud scud above. Every now and then, a haze of
Yeah, okay. So this one I think may well be a full second once more,
with scud above.
but we shall see.
Scud above. Every now and then, a haze of
Yep.
smoke from some near conflagration drove across the window and hid the Martian ships. I could not see what they were doing.
Right, so that one written as a full stop, but it's not going to be a full stop.
Martian ships. Across the window and hid the Martian ships. I could not see what they were doing. I could not see what they were doing, nor the clear.
Ah, that actually changes it. If that was a statement by itself, this timing would be right. We'll have to see if it's right for the follow-on statement.
Hid the Martian ships. I could not see what they were doing, nor the clear form of them, nor recognize the black objects they were busied upon. Ships. I could not see what they were doing, nor the clear form of the...
I think it's still okay, but it sounds a little bit unrealistic. Like an actual reader wouldn't sound like that. They couldn't do it that far. That's an incredibly long statement to follow on with. So we'll see with just a little bit more.
Hid the Martian ships. I could not see what they were doing, nor the clear form
That's
of
better.
them, nor recognize the black objects they were busied upon. Neither could I see the near they were busied.
Right, half a second there, obviously. And then we might trim down that more.
Were busied upon. Neither could I see the nearer fire, though the reflections of it danced on the wall and ceiling of the study. A sharp, resinous tang of
Okay, I think this will be another second that could be trimmed down.
ceiling of the study.
I do this with every actor, by the way. It's not just when I'm editing my own stuff. In Alice in Wonderland, if you have a listen to some of the songs that are sung, it's my own fault because I don't really know how to record other people yet. I know how to record myself because communication and understanding is instantaneous between my brain and itself. I know exactly what I want and why, and I just do it. When I'm recording other actors, I don't really know how to communicate with them as a director yet. There's been some timing issues in the past. Tim Williams, a most excellent actor, played O'Brien in 1984 and did quite a few voices in Alice in Wonderland. he has a habit of breathing in between everything that he says, and there was a lot of editing, his lines, cleaning up breaths and timing and all that sort of stuff. Michael Cheel, who has played a few parts in Alice in Wonderland. He was, who was it? The walrus or the griffin or something, sang the Beautiful Soup song during the book, and that was the most intensive, timing heavy editing I've ever had to do, trying to get his singing to match up with the singing of his wife, who has excellent natural rhythm, and the guitar part that I had to write afterwards to match the song that she had written on the spot, because I didn't even think to provide them with a musical piece beforehand, because I don't do that with myself, you know. Anyway, I'm getting better at directing other people, but it might be too little too late, because I'm moving to Japan. I won't be doing a lot of that anymore, although I will still be having Tim Williams record some things for me. Anyway, back to work.
A sharp, resinous tang of burning was in the...
Yeah, 1 second is too much there, obviously.
Wall and ceiling of the study. A sharp, resinous tang of burning was in the air. I closed the door noiselessly and crept.
Right, even shorter, because I think that's the end of the statement.
Against on the wall and ceiling of the study. A sharp, resinous tang of burning was in the air.
And then on to a second, because he goes from more description, whoops,
Burning was in the air.
to an action.
I closed the door burning was in the air. I closed the door noiselessly and crept towards the window. As I did so, the view opened...
Tricky, but I think this is going to be another one of those times where we would call it a fragment broken. Consider revising and rewriting, please, Mr. Wells. But at the time...
Burning was in the air. I closed the door noiselessly and crept towards the window. As I did so, the view opened...
There we go, that's
until
good, that
on the
works.
one hand, it reached to the houses about Woking Station, and on the other to the charred and blackened pine woods of Byfleet. There was a light down below the hill.
Okay, that's fine.
The pine woods of Byfleet. There was a light down below the hill.
No, too long.
Woods of Byfleet. There was a light down below the hill. On the railway, near the arch, and several of the houses along the Maybury Road and the streets near the station were glowing.
Right, that's much, much, much smaller.
There was a light down below the woods of Byfleet. There was a light down below the...
And that has to extend again, because the next bit is a running on phrase.
There was a light down below the hill. On the railway, near the arch, and several of the houses along the Maybury Road and the streets near the station were glowing ruins. The light upon the railway puzzled me at first. There were a black heap and a vivid glare, and to the right of that a row of
Okay.
on the
Sorry, I was actually not looking at this screen for a second. I was looking over at my second screen to fix up. I realized I wasn't looking at the chat on the Twitch page. So hello, viewers. Not sure. Hello anyway.
near the station were glowing ruins. The light upon the railway puzzled me at first.
All right, that's probably going to stay a second, but might be
The
trimmed.
streets near the station were glowing ruins. The light upon the railway puzzled
A little bit too long.
ruins. The light upon the
Yep,
railway
better.
puzzled me at first. There were a black heap and a vivid glare, and to the right of that a row of yellow and a vivid glare,
And that's almost no pause at all.
and a vivid glare, and to the right of that
Yeah.
a row of yellow oblongs. Then yellow
Yellow oblongs. Who would say that?
of that a row of yellow oblongs.
Oblongs. How odd. Like today, definitely, right? You would say oblong shapes, oblong figures, oblong something, oblongs. No, oblong would be, you know, the adjective. It's not the word in itself.
Of yellow oblongs.
So weird.
Then I perceived yellow...
Anyway,
of
timing.
yellow- of yellow oblongs. Then
Yep, too long. Okay, let's cut off
yellow
that.
oblongs. Then I perceived this was a wrecked train. The forepart smashed and on fire. The hinder carriages still upon the rails. The hinder carriages still upon the rails.
Ah,
The hinder carriages...
hinder or hinder? This word does not exist now. It is not used, so I have to make a judgment call. We would say the hind carriages.
The hinder carriages.
You would hinder something from behind.
The hinder carriages still... The hinder carriages
I think it's hinder.
are smashed and
I don't like either of them, but I think it's hinder.
smashed and on fire. The hinder
A little bit closer.
are smashed and on fire. The hinder carriages still upon the rails. Between these three...
Yep. Okay. Oh, I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. And there are almost no resources to help you make decisions like that. You just have to make a judgment call. Unless you happen to know an ancient English linguist historian, you know, who specializes in 1890 linguistic trends, you're just going to have to make the choice yourself.
still upon the rails. Between these three main centres of light, the houses, the train and the burning country towards Chobham, stretched irregular patches of dark country, broken here and there by
Closer, closer, closer.
patches of dark country, broken here and there by intervals of dimly glowing and smoking ground. It was the strange
There you go. It goes from description to reaction. So we'll go a full second there.
ground, glowing and smoking ground. It was the strangest spectacle, that black expanse set with fire.
Ooh, gosh, I just realized I have not done a safety. Hello, hello. I don't know why that just stopped, but it did. Very sorry.
Dimly glowing and smoking.
Sorry about that.
It was the strangest spectacle, that black expanse set with fire. It reminded me...
Also, that, sorry, I'm just going to do a little bit of noodling here because that does not look good. Good Lord, is that really recording it 3 times? What the heck? No, I guess not, but oh wow, this is so weird. Why is it doing that? Oh, it's just doing that strange mirror thing. Okay, fine. Ah, there we go. Now you can actually see the screen as it appears to me. Isn't that nice? There we go. Sorry about that. Sorry.
It was the strangest spectacle, that black expanse set with fire. It reminded me...
Alright, I think this is just a half second. Even it's definitely written with a full stop. But I think we're going to treat it like a comma.
Fire. It reminded me... expanse set with fire. It reminded me...
Oh, maybe not. Maybe a little bit longer than that. Maybe 0.75 of a second.
expanse set with fire. It reminded me
Yes.
of anything else of the potteries at night. At first I could... potteries at night.
The potteries, of course, are the places where they make the pots. It's not just pottery. Yeesh. The linguistic changes over the years are really very interesting to someone like me, but probably not to anyone else, so that's okay.
Anything else of the potteries at night. At first I could distinguish no people at all, although I peered intently for them.
Now here's something odd. Normally when audio clip... I swear some of this sounds a bit clippy.
No people at all, although I peered...
Right? That sounds a bit distorted, doesn't it?
Although I peered... although I peered...
But normally, if you saw something distorted, it would be way, way up, way louder than everything else. So I don't know why... And there's been another time or two as well. I don't know why it sounds distorted.
At all, although I peered intently for them.
It's very odd. I'm going to have to check it. I rather suspect that my old microphone is on its way out. That's what I think is happening. Which, honestly, not too surprised. I mean, it has survived many years, many moves, much abuse. My old Yeti Blue. I bought, once I finished my last radio show, back in whenever that was, many, many years ago, 2011 maybe, whenever I did The Island of Dr. Moreau. That was the first book that I did on my new microphone. And everything's been done on that, and I think it's dying.
Although I peered
Yeah, I think it's dying.
intently for them. Later, intently for them.
Yee. I don't like that sound at all. Let's just get rid of that.
Intently for them. Later, I saw against the
Ooh, you don't get away with that one very often.
peered intently for them.
Ooh! That actually sounds nice, but it's an incredibly hard edit. I would never normally let myself use that, but
Peered intently for them.
that sounds fine. Oh, I'm so happy. Amazed, amazed.
Intently for them. Later, I saw against the light of Woking Station a number of black figures. A number of black figures.
Right, that's probably going to be the edit point.
A number of black.
There we go. So that should... Oh, that's quite a volume jump though, isn't it? Well, let's see how it goes.
Of Woking Station, a number of black figures hurrying.
Right, we're going to have to cut that because it sounds like I'm really, really hitting black, like that's the most important word there. And that's not very good. There we go.
Station, a number of black figures hurrying one after the
There
other
we go.
across the line. And this was the...
Okay, and that's going to be half a second. Although, again, he would have written that as a full stop and then started his next sentence with and he wouldn't have cared about that at all. He was a rebel, I tell you. He obeyed his own rules, or it wasn't a rule yet. I don't really know.
across the line. And this was the little world in which I had been living securely for years. This fiery chaos. What had happened in the last 7 hours I still did not know, nor did I securely for years. This fiery chaos.
Whoa. All right. I'm going to check something here. Here's the version I'm using, by the way. Gutenberg. Gutenberg is great resource for public domain works. Between there and the burning stretch of the broken here and there. What? There we go. Right. Okay. And see, right at the start of the paragraph, no less. Not just a sentence. The start of a paragraph is and. You couldn't get away with that nowadays. You'd be torn apart by all the grammar Nazis like me. And and this was a little world in which I had been living securely for years. This fiery chaos. Start of new statement. What had happened in the last 7 hours, I still did not know. Okay. So.
Living securely for years. This fiery chaos.
All right, maybe we'll trim that a bit. Let's see.
Living securely for years. This fiery chaos. What had happened?
All right. I might have overacted that a little bit. We'll see. Once I clean it up, we'll see if it's okay. I might have to go back and re-record that line. I don't like it. I do like... I mean, light and shade is so important, right? You can't just read a thing and then oh man, how boring is that? If you want that, you can go to any other audiobook reader in the world. This is what they sound like. I like flavor. Let's get some emotion into things. Let's go up and down and strong and weak and light and shade. Interesting. But sometimes I do it too much, and I have to pull myself back into the studio and say, now, Stephen, let's turn down your drama a full 3 notches, please. Thank you.
Been living securely for years. This fiery chaos. What had happened in the last 7 hours, I still did not know, nor did I know, though I was beginning to guess. What had happened in the last 7 hours, I still did not know, nor...
All right. This might work. If we pull that back. Let's see.
Living securely for years. This fiery chaos. What had happened in the last 7 hours, I still did not know, nor...
All right, pull that back a little bit. Just a little bit.
For years, this fiery chaos. What had happened in the last 7 hours, I still did not know, nor did I know, though I was beginning to guess, the relation between these mechanical colossi and the sluggish lumps I had seen.
Tricky editing point. You can hear I started running out of breath at the end here.
Sluggish lumps I had seen.
Right, that's all.
I had seen.
That's really pushing from the bottom of the lungs because I'd run out of air. I wasn't properly inflated there.
The sluggish lumps I had seen.
So we have to replace that. I cannot accept that last part of it. And we're going to look for a good edit point.
And the sluggish lumps I had seen
Right.
And the sluggish lumps I had... Lumps.
Lumps?
And the sluggish lumps... Lumps I had... I had... Sluggish lumps I
think the S after lumps, right? S is normally a pretty good editing point because it's quite a long sound and it's a static sound, right? So it's hard to tell one S from another S. They all pretty much just sound like S. So let's see.
Sluggish lumps I had seen disgorged.
Flawless! Excellent.
And the sluggish lumps I had seen disgorged from the cylinder.
But there's another little...
Gorged.
That sounds a little clipped to me, doesn't it?
Seen disgorged from the cylinder.
Just the gorged sound. Even though it's not pushed that much, the volume isn't that much higher than anything else.
I had seen disgorged from the cylinder.
Definitely. My mic's on its way out. That's a real shame. I was going to leave that with... Oops, I just knocked the microphone I'm using here. I was going to leave that microphone with Tim Williams so he could record things from Australia for me.
From the cylinder.
E.
From the cylinder.
Can you hear that little breath at the end of cylinder?
From the cylinder. With a...
Alright, I think it's okay. I'm just being very, very picky. I'm always very picky.
I had seen disgorged from the cylinder. With a queer feeling of impersonal interest, I turned my desk chair to the window, sat down and stared at the blackened country. And particularly at the blackened country. And particularly at...
Okay, that's okay.
Country. And particularly at the 3 gigantic black things.
No.
And particularly...
Good boy, do it again.
And
because I stumbled my tongue a little bit, didn't I? Yes.
Particularly at the 3 gigantic black things.
At the 3 gigantic... Re-record, do it again.
At the blackened country. And particularly at the 3 gigantic black things that were going to... Black thing.
Right. You hear that sound?
Thing.
I'm going to tell you a little story about young Steve, who used to drink and smoke and get in fights and not take good enough care of his teeth.
Black thing.
There you go, that's better. My front 2 teeth tremendously damaged. Really, really badly. I was missing big chunks out of them because, as I mentioned, I drank and smoked and got in fights and didn't brush my teeth properly. And eventually, I had them rebuilt. These are fake. These front 2 teeth of mine, the top incisors. And because I had spoken for so long with huge holes in the front, once I got those front 2 teeth fixed, replaced, rebuilt, I find the th sound incredibly difficult to do. Really, really difficult. When you've got big holes in your teeth, th is not a problem. When you've actually got proper teeth, tends to bubble out the sides and give you annoying noises. So I find it very difficult, very, very difficult to do that sound cleanly.
Gigantic black things that were going to and fro in the glare about the sand pits.
So that's another thing that I quite often have to edit out, is excess noises of things. And I listen to myself every time I say words to make sure that the recording is okay.
The glare about the sand pits. They seemed...
Okay, again, from description to reaction, so it's probably going to be a second, but always ready to trim if we have to. Always ready.
Glare about the sand pits. They seemed amazingly busy. 3 gigantic black things that were going to and fro in the glare about the sand pits. They seemed...
No, that's too much. That's too much.
in the glare about the sand pits. They seemed amazingly busy. I began to ask myself what they could be.
No.
Amazingly busy.
Might have to trim that a little.
They seemed amazingly busy. I began to ask myself...
I know why I put that gap there, but, you know...
They seemed amazingly busy.
It would have worked at that length if you could have seen... like the physical performance of me searching for the next word, you know, then it would have been fine. But in an audiobook, you cannot see any of the physical things that I'm doing. So you have to be very aware of the timing of the sound, the audio. Every pause that you do is actually just dead air.
They seemed amazingly busy. I began to ask myself what.
So that's okay. That's an okay little gap.
They seemed amazingly busy.
It's enough to emphasize that he's trying to think of how to describe what they're doing and what he's seeing. That's okay. But any longer than that would just feel weird. I actually have an experimental little short story that I'm writing at the moment that's really going to play with that and maybe push it too far. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. It's a guy basically telling a monologue and going slowly insane. And he starts off very carefully choosing his words because he's trying to appear normal, but then later on it will get far more crazy as he loses the plot. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see how much of my performance timing editor Steve will let me get away with.
They seemed amazingly busy. I began to ask myself what they could be. Were they intelligent mechanisms? Such a thing I felt was impossible.
Intelligent mechanisms. Yes. They had no word for, like, android or anything at the time, of course. Or computer.
Intelligent mechanisms? Such a thing I felt was impossible. Or did a Martian...
No, pauses. There's a little dramatic breath there, but I don't let that thing through. The only time I ever let performer Steve breathe in an audiobook is if the character is exhausted for some reason.
Possible.
Exhausted or infuriated or something exceptional that you need the breath to get the feeling across.
Was impossible. Or did a Martian sit within each, ruling, directing, using, much as a man's brain sits and rules in his body? I began to compare that in his body. Rules in his body. I began to compare the...
Perfect. Perfect. Look at that.
Rules in his body. I began to compare the things
Nice.
to human machines. to ask myself for the first time in my life how an ironclad or an ironclad, an iron, how an ironclad or a
Let's just drop that volume a little bit.
in my life, how an ironclad or a steam engine would seem to an intelligent lower animal. The storm had left the
Full second for that one, for sure. Not just for the character, not just for the writing, but for the listener, so they have a second to think about that.
intelligent lower animal. The storm had left the sky clear, and over the smoke of the burning land the little fading pinpoint of Mars was dropping into the west, when a soldier came into my garden.
Here we go, the soldier, the artilleryman, who, with any luck,
Came into my garden.
will be played by Tim Williams. But for the moment, I'm reading it, of course. Yet again, I've gone far too. Keep doing this. What is going on? I don't understand. It's very annoying, though.
Came into my garden. I heard
I'm going to have to try and figure out why it keeps breaking down like that. It's very odd.
into my garden. I heard a slight scraping at the fence, and arousing myself from the lethargy that had fallen upon me, I looked down and saw him dimly clambering over the palings. I looked down and saw me. I looked down and saw him down and saw. I looked down and saw him dimly. Looked down and saw him
Dimly? Is that right? Sorry, folks. Thank you for coming back. I don't know why it keeps cutting out. It's very, very annoying.
upon me. I looked down and saw him dimly clambering over the palings. At the sight of another human being, my torpor passed.
Okay. That feels like a second, but we'll see.
Clambering over the palings. At the sight of
A little bit less.
clambering over the palings. At the sight of another human
Maybe even a little bit less still.
dimly clambering over the palings. At the sight of another human being, my torpor passed, and I leaned out of the window eagerly.
Hist. 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 I said hist. What is wrong with you, Stephen? Hist, said I in a whisper. Hist! Hist! No.
Palings. At the sight of a window eagerly.
Hist. Hist. Hist.
Said I.
Alright, that third one's best, I think. I can't believe I said hist. 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 Hist, I say hist.
Out of the window eagerly.
Hist.
Said I.
Alright, that's enough picking on me. Hist.
Window eagerly.
Right, that's way too long a break.
Window eagerly.
Hist.
Said I in a whisper.
Hist.
Said I in a whisper. He stopped astride of
Okay. Half a second, that's a full second there. Let's maybe trim that down.
said I in a whisper. He stopped astride of the fence in doubt. Then he came over and across the lawn to the corner of the fence in doubt. Then he came over and across
Okay.
the lawn to the
That's odd. See, my eyes tell me that's too much of a gap for that break between the two statements, but it sounds okay, doesn't it?
fence in doubt. Then he came over and across the lawn to the corner of the house. He bent down and stepped softly. Who's there? Softly.
Right. Now, at this point, I had not
Who's there?
actually made sure that Tim was going to play this role. It was still sort of up in the air a little bit. So I think I might be about to play around with the voice a little bit to try and find a soldier I was happy with.
Who's there? Who's there? Who's there? he said, also whispering, standing up.
Who's there? Who's there?
He said, also.
Who's there?
He said, also.
Sometimes I plan in advance what a character is going to sound like, but quite often I will just invent them on the spot when it comes to that point in the story. If you forgive me for 1 second, my phone has been going jingly jangly quite a lot, and I don't... right. No, it's fine. The wife emailing me from work. The merger at her company has gone through, and the new company has taken over, so she's in training and whatnot. Ah, there we go. All right. Yep, no problem. It's quite odd that my wife is actually quite a corporate high flyer, so I do get this sort of insight into a world that I've never had a lot to do with. Just listening to, what happens around her office. Interesting little comment on YouTube as well. You need to get a job somewhere because your voice is amazing. This is my job. I love my job. I want to do it here for myself. I don't want to work for other people. I don't like that. Yes. No.
He bent down and stepped.
Here's my big golden dream, right? I get to make these audiobooks and I put them up on YouTube and they make sort of, a bit of money. Not as much money as you'd get paid, recording for Penguin or Evil HarperCollins or someone like that, but a bit of money sort of constantly over the years. And I keep recording more and more books that people want to listen to, and, that bit of money sort of increases to the point where in my retirement, my wife and I have got a nice little bit of extra income coming in to help us, in our dotage, in our old age, where I fully intend to be a disgraceful old man traveling around the world doing things that are meant to be done by much younger people who are far prettier than I am. And you need money to do that, But yeah, the goal is, a bit of passive income coming in over the years, rather than big lump sums paid by, giant corporations who then go on to make passive income for years and years and years off of your work. I'd rather do that work for myself. Thank you very much. And if that means I suffer now and have to fight a few battles like I did with 1984, I'm willing to do that. I have the support of quite a lovely audience, which is really great, Yeah.
Under the window and peering out.
Gives me quite a bit of strength.
Where are you going? I asked.
Right. Okay, so the rhythm of this conversation is actually quite important. Concentrate, Stephen, concentrate.
He bent down and stepped softly.
Who's there?
He said, also whispering.
Okay, so that's too much of a gap.
He bent down and stepped softly.
Who's there?
Right, I'm also going to... I'm sorry, forgive me all this nonsense. Chapter 11, new text document, notes for Tim. I'm going to note down the time, which is 5:14, first lines. There we go. Just a little thing to make sure he knows that.
He bent down and stepped softly.
Who's there?
He said, also whispering, standing under the window and peering up.
It's so hard to do a Cockney accent when you're not a Cockney, isn't it? Because it feels so caricaturish, It's a bit like trying to do an American accent when you're not an American, because you can so easily just slip into all those sounds that aren't real. They're not real. Americans don't really sound like that, but they're the most obvious sounds that hit your ears when you're listening to the American accent as someone living outside of America. So you tend to hit those things a lot harder than they actually get hit. The same things happen when you're doing a Cockney accent, because it's quite a rough accent, innit? Right? There's a lot of sounds that hit you like that. And, it's very easy to do it badly. Fortunately, Tim Williams is actually British. He born and raised in England and then moved over to Australia. So he knows how these things actually sound, which is great. He's a very valuable resource for me.
Where are you going?
I asked.
Trim that. Always trim that.
Where are you going?
I asked.
God knows.
Okay, generally, I treat it like a comma between two people talking. Go half a second, unless it... I mean, it depends on the pace of the conversation. If people are arguing, obviously, that's going to be a lot shorter, isn't it?
Where are you going?
I asked.
God knows.
Are you trying to hide? Going? I asked.
God knows.
Are you trying to hide?
That's it.
Come into the house. Hide.
That's it. Right? Is that right? Is that right, or is it an atrocious caricature of how an Australian would think a Cockney would say, that's it?
Hide.
That's it.
Don't know. I don't know. It's so hard.
That's it.
What I would have done if I was going to continue playing this character, of course, is what I ended up doing in Animal Farm, which was to record the whole book and then at the end write down the lines of each of the characters in their own block. You know, I recorded Napoleon, all of his lines in one block, and then went and recorded, you know, all the other characters likewise. They all get their own little recording session, so their voice is solid all the way through the book. And we don't have what happened in Brave New World, where John starts out sounding like one character and by the end of the book he sounds completely different. Completely different. Seriously, I'm amazed more people don't notice it. And give me quite a lot of well-deserved crap for it, because he sounds like a completely different character by the end of the book, I'm telling you. Anyway.
Under the window and peering up.
Where are you going?
I asked.
God knows.
Are you trying to hide?
That's it.
Come into the house, I said.
I always give myself a nice big break between the character's line and then the narrator, I said, knowing that I can trim it down later and it'll sound better.
Come into the house, I said. I went down.
There we go, 26 to 27.
I said.
Now, I want to save again, but I'm a bit worried because it seems to be the saving that has made the stream stop each time. I'm going to give it a go and we'll see what happens. If the stream stops, I'll be back again immediately, I promise. There we go, that one's... Why on earth did that happen? That's so weird! Why? I save once, it's fine. I save the backup file and it crashes the stream. Wow. That is wild. I'm gonna have to work out what's going on there. Alright, I think because no one has come back to this stream and it's being so very wobbly, I think we're just going to call it there. Thank you very much for everyone who came and put up with all of this nonsense. I don't know why saving a backup file would crash the stream. It's just very odd and annoying. Ooh. Ooh! Ooh! I just figured it out! I'm a moron genius. Look at this. Hotkeys. Control-Shift-S. Start and stop streaming. That's also my save as shortcut. It's my fault. Look, here we go. Control-Shift-S. It's absolutely going to be fine now. Save it back up. Oh, look. And the stream is still on. I'm an idiot. I am the biggest idiot in all of idiot land. I'm the mayor of Idiotville and soon to be elected president of the entire idiocy. Oh my God, what a fool I am. Anyway, we're going to stop there. And I'm going to have to do it manually because I just deleted the shortcut. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. See you next time.